you can do that. So yeah, that way.
All right. To be honest, I'm happy with the organic conversation. That's good for me.
Okay, that's fine.
Um, yeah, this is
Yeah,
good. Thank you. Thank you.
yeah. So
It
let's
was
start.
nice to meet.
Yeah. So let's start simple. You know, tell me
Hmm.
who you are, where you from, and what do you do.
Yeah. So I'm Lydia. I am originally from Glasgow in Scotland, but I now live in Derby in England, which is right in the middle of England. Um, so that's me, and I essentially just started my own company at the beginning of this year, um, to help businesses get shit done. I'm a kind of systems team, kind of business generalist that just likes to get involved, understand businesses, and um, understand what's going wrong and then fix their problems. And so that's what I'm really doing now is working with various different clients to um, fix their problems for them, help them get shit done.
Did you start this year?
Yeah.
What do you used to do before this?
Yeah. Before I um before I started my own business, for the really for my entire career, I've worked in retail tech. So I've worked in various different companies where I have helped them to manage the operational side of having technology in store. So I started my early days working for a startup called Shoes of Prey, that allowed people to design their own shoes. And I kind of, so we would do that in store. So we didn't actually sell any physical shoes in store. We had iPads in store that allowed customers to design their own shoes on the iPad. And then we would place an order to our factory who would make those shoes for them and ship them out. So I managed all of the physical stores for that business. We had stores across Australia and America. And then in the last, so that was when I was kind of living abroad. I lived in Australia and LA at the time. And then I moved back to London. And for the last 7 years, I've been working for a retail tech software company. We build applications that help retailers to capture customer data, take sales, um, really just manage their entire check stock in store. And so I was kind of managing all the implementation of that.
Okay, like you did engineering, or how did you get into that stuff?
No, yeah, I actually studied fashion and textile design at university. So I'd always been quite techy and quite like good at computers, I guess, but it was not something that I ever thought was, unfortunately, if I could go back now, I would change my mind. But like 20 years ago, I thought it wasn't cool to be good at computers. It was not even computers anymore. So I decided to go down a fashion route. Um, Even though like at one point my computing teacher was like begging me to keep going. But anyway, then I found Shoes of Prey, this design company, and so I found them because of my design background, but then ended up doing much more of the operations and tech stuff. So I'm not a software engineer at all, but I kind of work with all the software engineers and all the people that work around software engineering, to help them kind of figure things out. So I'm good at working with the people who did study engineering at uni, um, or learn it on the fly, and helping them to move forward projects, things like that.
Okay, you quit the job now, or
Hmm.
you
Yeah,
still have?
yeah. I quit. I
Okay,
quit in December. Yeah,
yeah. Why did you quit? Just to start this?
yeah. So I think I'd I'd always felt like I wanted to do something for myself, but for the last few years, I've been kind of pretending to myself that I was okay working in corporate, and actually, like, I was okay with just climbing up the corporate ladder, and I didn't really, um, I actually didn't want to. I was lying to myself that I didn't want to start my own business. And then last year, I had my second child. I had a little boy, and I just I also had a colleague or a client who I was really fond of die quite suddenly the year he was supposed to retire. And both those things, having my second child makes like logistics and like your life just a whole different level of chaos. And so I just knew I needed a job where I had much more control over my life and what I was doing when to be able to manage that. And also with the person that I was really fond of passing away, it just made me realize, look, you can keep following this path and you can end up at that level, but like if that's not what you want to do, don't do that. And so it was a prompt to be like, okay, I need to do something different. If if not now, when? Um, and so it was yeah.
Yeah, weren't you concerned about the money? Like, did you save up some money? Like, what gives you confidence to like get in?
Yeah, yeah, it's a good question. I um I think so I I did give up quite a healthy salary with my role, but in the UK we have what's called statutory maternity leave. So I was on maternity leave for most of last year and had been paid like a very small fraction of my salary. So I was already used to not getting a lot of money. I also I did have some savings from being on maternity leave that I was saving for that maternity pay that I kind of stretched out. So yes, money is definitely still a challenge, still something that we're like kind of juggling. But I think I just got to a point where I was like, I've got to find a way to make this work. So it wasn't a question of can I do this? It was like, I've got to do this. And so I just need to figure out how I'm going to make it work. And so every month right now, I'm just kind of juggling around and figuring out like pulling money from all the places I can to pop it together. And I'm lucky that I've been able to find 3 clients already through my the network that I've built up over the last few years. So I'm using that to um
Yeah, that's what I want to know. Like, did you have somebody reach out to you?
yeah, so I've been using Instagram and LinkedIn to build my audience. And with LinkedIn, I've always been very specific about for like the last decade, I've always been very conscientious of using LinkedIn to maintain my network. I guess maybe somewhere in the back of my mind, I always knew that I would want to do um, something like this at some point. So I've been really conscious about making sure that anytime I'm in a meeting with someone new, I'm finding them on LinkedIn and connecting with them. That I would post kind of sporadically on there over the last 10 years to kind of keep engaged with people. So I've got several people in my network that I have stayed in touch with because I've connected with them on LinkedIn. So at the beginning of this year, I then decided to kind of go all in on LinkedIn and I've been posting on there regularly. And so two of the people, one person who I worked with 8 years ago and one person who I worked with maybe 4 years ago, because I'm still connected with them on LinkedIn, they started to see my posts and we'd worked together before. So they knew what I was about and they knew that, um, they knew what I was good at. So they saw my post and then immediately were like, oh, great. Actually, Lydia, we could really use your help on this.
Yeah.
I've forgotten what the actual question was, but does that answer the question?
Yeah, absolutely. You reach out to them, right? You were posting, they reach out
Yes.
to you.
Yes, I have got like quite a conscious strategy on LinkedIn now where I post like specific content each day of the week. And so um, yeah, both of them, one of them I actually reached out to at the end of last year to get some advice. And then through that conversation to get some advice as to whether I should quit or not, it then came apparent that they had a need for my services. So that was like an extra boost for me, on the financial side for me deciding to quit. I was like, I already have someone who thinks that they have got a job for me. So I know that I've got something to hopefully walk into. Um, and then the other person, yeah, they just messaged me on LinkedIn. We got on a call and it works.
Okay, that's cool. And how big are the businesses? Are they like how many team members they have? Is it a one person business?
Yeah,
That's
it's a range. So I do I have three different services really. One is coaching, one-to-one leadership coaching, where I help people either within a business, they might be a senior manager in a business or a business leader to kind of improve their operations and improve their leadership. So one of my clients is doing leadership coaching with me. Um, and so he works within a business which is about 30 people, I think,
okay.
maybe a bit more. And he's responsible for managing like a third of the business. Um, then I have a client who's their brand marketing agency for luxury fashion retailers. And they have about 50 staff members. And then I have another client who is really, really herself. She has a couple team members who work with her, but really just on kind of like admin background stuff. There's not really like in the kind of business operations running the business team. So she's really just a solopreneur, as people say.
Oh,
So yeah, a whole variety.
okay, now yours is you don't have like a specific, right?
I don't have what, sorry?
You don't have anything specific in terms of like whether it's gonna be a service based business. It's I only work with service based business, only work with
Oh, yeah, yeah. No, I mean, it's probably something I need to develop further. But for me right now, I guess the main thing is I work with businesses which are in a stage of growth. So it doesn't really matter what sector you're in. But it's businesses which have been around for a few years, so they're established. They know they've got um, a viable product. They know that they're making money. But the processes that allowed them to launch their business and get started and kind of get off the ground are now not the processes that are going to get them from like that initial 500K, let's say, to like 5 million. And so I'm helping businesses in that stage to kind of grow um, and navigate that growth. Because growth, once you've kind of established yourself as a startup, can be quite challenging. You need to like mature your processes. You'll have like a wider team, and you might have been like a visionary, someone who is really great at products and ideas, but managing the day to day of a team is a totally different skill set. And so that's where I come in.
Okay, and then what do you do if you have a client approach you, and then how do you like,
Yeah, what's my process?
yeah, what's your process? Yeah.
The key things I'm always looking at are their systems, their processes, and their teams. So what I'll do, I'll always come in and have like a deep dive first of all. So like a lengthy conversation, a workshop to really understand like what it is that's going on in their business. Where are they trying to get to? What's their like magic wand moment? What's their like big goal that they're trying to achieve? And then what are the things that are blocking them? We'll usually just have like a conversation, and through that conversation, it will usually come out, oh well, we're managing all of our projects on a spreadsheet, or um, I've got several team members that just aren't performing the way that they should be, or I know I want to do this thing, but I've got no idea how I do it. And then depending on what comes out of that session, that's where I'll then like help them to develop the kind of people operations or the systems operations. Is it a new system that they need? If so, like what systems do they currently have in place? Let's look at them. Are there any of them able to be used better and they can use more features that they didn't know of? Or actually, do we need to get rid of those systems and bring in new systems that are much more appropriate for what they're trying to do and are going to make everything easier? And then with the team, like, do they have the right roles? Like, do they have the right people in their team? And are they doing the things that they need them to do to actually grow the business? And if not, then like, what's the structure that you do need and building that and then helping them kind of juggle team members around?
Gotcha. But don't you think like if you have a business, right, that you're about to work with, right? And
Yeah.
like there's different thing comes in terms of like, okay, this is how the business generate leads, this is how they get clients, and then we have a onboarding process, and then we have service delivery, right? And
Yep.
then we do something to get them back, like to retain, so all these processes, like these are different skill set, right? These are different skills, right? You need to have sales, right? You need to know sales in order to help someone with sales, right? So
Yep. Mhm.
yeah, how do you hire people, right? How do you
Well, no, 'cause I focus specifically on their systems, their processes, and their teams, so all of that stuff is things that I have been doing in my career for the last 15 years. Um, so if it was like a sales problem that they had, I have people in my network who I would recommend them to, but I wouldn't necessarily bring someone in. It's for me, 'cause if it was a problem with their sales process, i.e., they didn't need to know how to sell, but they needed a better way of tracking. Actually, one of my clients is having this problem right now. They just need a better way of tracking those conversations. They're having all the conversations, they know how to have it, but capturing, like, we spoke to this person on this date, and this is the number that we're talking about, and this is when the project would potentially start. That they need a system for so that they can log all of the conversations that they're having, which ones they win, which ones they lose, so that they have the data around that. That's a system, and that's what I'm good at. That's what I can build for them. Not myself through my tools, but through, like, identifying the right tool on the market and then implementing for them. I help them to simplify the noise and the kind of chaos that they might be experiencing by trying to do everything and kind of just clutch at straws where they're like, "Oh, we need to do this, we need to do this, we need to do this." And they're just running around like a headless chicken, really, um, trying to do everything with no kind of system or process in place. And I kind of help them to take a deep breath, I guess, and be like, "Okay, what do we actually need to do? Okay, here's the plan." Like, help them to take all of their ideas and chaos and turn it into something which actually makes sense so that they can have a really focused strategic output that is actually gonna make them money. A lot of time is wasted in business, and obviously in business, time is money, and time is wasted when you don't have good systems, when you don't have the right people doing the right things, when you don't know what you're doing, you don't have a clear focus, and you're trying to do 20 different things at the same time rather than being like, "Actually, these 3 things are the things that are gonna be most valuable, so let's do those."
gotcha? Now, what are you helping your clients with? You got three clients, right? What are
Yeah,
Yeah, what are you helping them with specifically? Can you say that?
yeah, yeah. So with the brand marketing agency, I've sort of alluded to this already maybe, but they have several different luxury clients who are paying them a lot of money to on retainer services to do their branding, their paid SEO, their paid socials, advertising, all of that stuff. And but they're managing all of that right now from one Trello board and a spreadsheet. So there's like one Trello board for every single project that exists and client that exists in the business. It's just chaos. Um, and then they have a spreadsheet that everyone has to go into to update, like, I've done that task, or here's a new task. It's just very, very manual, and requires like a lot of updating. So it's taking a lot of time. And um, when it's when it's not taking time is because they're not doing it, because it's so manual that they just don't have time for it, so they don't even update it. So their problems is wasting their time, and they don't have up-to-date information. It also means that they have absolutely no financial tracking as to, like, which projects are profitable and which aren't. And so I'm helping them to, so what I've done with them over the last that project's coming to an end now, really. Over the last 6 weeks is, first of all, we looked at what are the things that they need in a system, prioritize them to must, should, could, won't, and then looked through all the systems they already had in place to figure out which systems already did what they wanted to do, that they potentially just weren't using, and identified if there's any that we could use better. And then in addition to that, looked at several different platforms out there that do the things that they wanted it to do, and looked at what features they did that they looked at what features each platform had and where it matched with what they wanted to do. And then looked at the pricing and basically identified like what mix of systems that they currently had and new systems would be right for them from a cost perspective, not too expensive, but also like met the criteria. Um, so we then identified um, a, two platforms that we're going to get rid of, and
Yes.
a platform that we're going to optimize better, and then a platform that we're bringing in. And so I'm now in the process of doing all that implementation, setting up the new system to manage their projects and manage their finances, optimizing their Google Workspace. So a lot of people. So one thing that they don't have right now um, is a collective like, this is our company, this is who's in the company, this is our processes. It's all in documents all over the place on Google, which is great. Google are a good service, and I love Google Drive. It's great because everything can be shared. But a lot of people don't know that Google have Google Sites. Have you heard of Google Sites or used it before?
Google Slides?
Sites.
No, haven't. I only use on
So Google Sites.
sometimes.
Okay, fair. Well, Google Sites just sort of works like it offers similar capabilities to Notion, but the thing is, it comes with your Google package. So anyone who pays for a Google Workspace right now for their email or their Drive, they will have this as well. And it's Google Sites, so it's like it stops them having an extra cost. And you can basically set up a knowledge center or like a welcome wiki page for all of your staff. So that's one thing that we're setting up right now, because they had all of the information on what their clients needed, client links, um, budget links, project links, literally everything in Trello cards. And I also love Trello, but it's not a place to hold like the entire information of your business. It's just not the usability for that type of content is not great. You have to click into each card. So yeah, so we're transferring them from their Trello board, which is full of information, into using Google Sites because they were already paying for that. And they now have this beautiful Wikipedia page, not a Wikipedia page, but a wiki page
Sure.
for all of their team knowledge, all of their client knowledge, which sits on Google. And the other system that we're using is a system called Productive, which is really built for agencies, and it's project management, time management, and then gives you all of the financial reporting that you need to track how profitable your projects are, um, how on track they are. And that's also where they can take their sales pipeline and put it in there. So it just takes like everything that they had in spreadsheets and Trello boards all over the place, it pulls into one system and actually gives them the data that they need to be able to say, okay, we're making quite a lot of money now, but this is how we get to the next level. They can then see like, oh, this client's actually draining us of money and this client's really profitable. So let's do more work over here and less work there.
Yeah, they have the data now, the specific like
Yes.
conversions, all of that.
Mm.
Yeah,
So that's like an example of you don't necessarily need that in the early days because you just want to get work. Like in the early days, you just need to validate that you have an idea that people will pay for and just get money. But now that they have got that established idea, they need to know like where their most valuable money is coming from and focus on that if they want to grow the business.
I think you know what? If you can share some like softwares and stuff, and that'd be great.
Um, Well, I can show you my customer journey template, or you're not interested, because that's where I would, if I was working with a client and I was like, and they said to me, "Oh, we want to onboard, we want to like automate our onboarding process, or we want to make our onboarding process slicker." I would say to them, "Okay, we need to map out what the customer journey is first. Like, we need to map out what are the things that you need, what are the things that they need." And put it all together in a customer journey. And then from that customer journey, then we build out like the steps to make sense. I wouldn't start building steps before I'd map that out.
Okay.
So this is my customer journey template. So if a customer comes along, a client comes along and says, "Oh, I want to build a," wait a minute, is that set up okay? Yeah, you can see that, right? If someone came along and said, "Yeah, we want to automate the process," or actually was speaking to someone on Monday where they are in the process of like they have a sales funnel and they have people who come into their sales funnel and they're showing them properties. But then after they see the property, they want to make sure that they're keeping in touch with them along that journey until they purchase. And right now, that's very manual. They're like manually texting or manually emailing. And so, what I was saying to them is, but that's a huge headache for them. So, what I was saying to them is, you could automate some of those steps. But the first step to doing that is to map out what actually is the journey. So, this is like a really simple template that I've used for years in my various roles, where you map out like what are the actual steps that a customer is going through. Um, so for your example, Rantu, like with an onboarding, step one is you reaching out to the person and like prospecting them. Step two is them kind of having a conversation with you. Step three is probably where they're like, "Yep, okay, great, let's go ahead." Step four is okay, here's the stuff that I need you to sign, or this is how we agree to the fee. So you go through and put all of those steps in place, and then you think about what are the actions that the customer is taking at each step. What are the touch points? So is it a message with you? Is it a website? Is it a physical flyer if it's a product out in the open? Is it a shop? Like, what are the physical touch points, the tangible things that sit alongside that action? And then at each point, like, what are their feelings? Are they feeling stressed at this point in the journey? Are they feeling happy? Are they feeling scared? Those things really help you to then say, oh, at this point, they've never met me before and they're a bit kind of apprehensive about this person who's just approached them. So I really need to give them personable information that explains who I am and why they should talk to me further and gives them like that confidence that I'm a real person and I can offer real support. Pains, so, like, what is the challenge that would make them want to move further? What's the thing that's what's the problems that you can solve so that they can continue to move along that funnel or that journey, or that sales process so that they get to the purchase point? And so you would do all of those steps and then solutions at the bottom. That's where you can that's the line where you can then, once you've done all of that information, you understand what are the steps, what are the touch points, what are the feelings, the pains. Then you can say, okay, at this point here, actually, they just want to sign and they're feeling frustrated that it takes a long time to open the document and print it off and then write their signature. So what we can implement here is an online document signing software, or we can implement like automatic creation of a contract using their name, whatever it is. That's where you can then say what are the automations, what are the tools, what are the systems that are going to benefit the customer. Does that make sense? So you're not just building systems, automated systems for the sake of it, or simplifying things just because you think, oh, that looks really nice or that sounds really cool. You're building automations and implementing systems where it actually meets the customer's needs so that your journey can go from here to here as smoothly as possible, but is in line with what the customer needs at each point in that journey.
So if I'm prospecting, right? I'm doing an email campaign, and then
Yeah.
that's step one. So can you take that as an example and then go through what you just went through? You know what I mean?
Yeah. This template is usable in any scenario. So in that scenario, you're prospecting, you're trying to what's the goal that you're trying to get to? Trying to get a sale.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, and step one is I'm sending a cold email to that customer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's a perfect example. So you would use this journey by putting in, okay, step one is customer receives an email from me. the actions there are they open their inbox, they see an email, the touch points is the email. Let's assume that for the purpose of this, let's assume that they click on the email and they do actually read it. Um, if they haven't read it, they don't even get onto the journey. So then like the feelings are going to be like maybe confused because they're like, how did this person get my email address? Like,
Yeah.
what did they like? How did they do that? But they're also and maybe a bit apprehensive, but then also maybe a bit intrigued. If you are solving a specific problem for them, let's say your outreach is because you've noticed that their web be better optimized. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then you could have in that email, I've noticed this, and this is how I would recommend improving it. Do you want to chat about this more? So they might be a bit like confused, apprehensive, but then also intrigued. Because they know that their website's a problem, but they don't know how to improve the design or the SEO or the content, whatever it is that you're solving. So that's step one. So then step two is tell me more. So they're confused, they're apprehensive, but they're intrigued. They're probably not ready to book a call at that point,
Yeah.
but they are ready to learn more. So then the step two that you probably want there is like, how can I get them onto my website? Like, how can I get them onto my information to explain to them, this is how I do what I do. This is an example of my happy clients. So step two might be, yeah, you put in the email, check out my other work here on a website, and you click that link, and then if they click that link, then it takes them to step two in the journey, which is your website. So then again, the actions are viewing the website. The touch point is the website itself. The feelings then are like, oh, I'm interested. Oh, this looks good. Like, oh, I'm impressed. Because they like what they're seeing. The pain at this point is, oh, well, what's the next step now? Okay, great. This person's emailed me. I like the look of their work, but like, what do I do now? Like, how much is this going to cost me? This looks really good. Is it going to cost me loads of money? So that's where then like next step is sharing like, these are our services. This is how you get in help with us. Or maybe it's like, jump on a free call and we'll audit your website together, you know? Um, so you go through the steps and then you would do that. Next step is booking the call. So you would design that whole journey and see, like, as we were talking about this, you might not have that email content ready. You might not have that website ready, but mapping out the journey then helps you to see, okay, cool. I need a really good opening email. I need a landing page that I can send people to. I need a really smooth, like, explanation of services and ability to book a call.
Yeah.
Then that's when you can then say, okay, I'm going to build a really slick website. I'm going to build a booking service. I'm going to build this, whatever it is. You go down the journey, but it gives you the direction to be able to channel that stuff, so you know that you're building things that make sense for your customer along the journey, rather than just saying, "Oh yeah, I should build a nice website because people have nice websites, so I should do that, right?" Um, you're building specifically what your customer needs to get them from hearing of you to purchasing.
Gotcha. And based off their responses, we were just uh improving stuff, right? If okay, these were they didn't book here, so maybe this is the issue right here, right? In line
Yeah,
page.
exactly. So then you can start to fragment that journey and be like, oh, they didn't book. So then my next touch point on that journey, you might then have two journeys, which are like, journey one is they're really interested and they've gone ahead and booked. Great. Journey two is they they looked at the stuff and we can see that they clicked on the website, but they're not interested. So then I'm going to think about, well, why are they maybe not booking? Is it because they still need more information?
Yeah.
Is it because it's not an urgent enough problem for them to solve right now? Have we just not made it clear enough how we solve that problem? So then you can start to design further emails that then follow up and say, we see you looked at our stuff. Here's more information, whatever it is. you then you design the like following email campaign, or it might be that you manage to like create a lead magnet that captures their number. So then like the next step is you call them and say, hey, I saw you downloaded our lead magnet, or not our lead magnet, but our like guide to optimizing your website design. Do you like, can I help you with anything? You know?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But you're really thinking about what's the customer doing and what are they feeling at each point, so that then you're designing the system. And you can apply this same concept to like Stack. So if someone was running a team and they were onboarding a team member, or designing like a hiring process, this works the same way. What are the actions that are being taken? What are the touch points? What are the feelings? And then how do we like support that journey with the right systems, processes?
Gotcha. What are some of the softwares that you use daily basis, right? You use.
Yes. Well, I use an app called Todoist every day. That's my number one. Anyone who meets me hears about Todoist pretty quickly. So Todoist is like a souped up to-do list. It's just amazing. I have everything on there. I can share that with you. Let me pull it up.
Yeah.
This is my Todoist. So basically down the left-hand side here, I have literally like everything that I want to do. So I've got all of my clients, I've got my personal projects, got like kind of a long-term bucket list for my personal, but I've got all my business stuff. I've got literally everything. I've been using this for 11 years now. So I literally have like all my tasks in here. And so I just love it because it literally has everything that I need to do. And it's always in like a today view. Like I can click upcoming, basically shows me everything that I didn't do yesterday that I should have done. And then everything that I need to do, it connects with my calendar so I can see all of the things that I'm doing that day. And it's super quick and easy to add a task. So if I want to add a task, I can just say um like for I can put in like the exact thing, and then if I click that, it will go into my today, and it will show me here. Oh, I've spelled your name wrong, sorry. Um,
Do they have a calendar?
it shows me it straight away. You can integrate with your calendar, so you can either no, so it doesn't create events, but I can drop that into my calendar, and it will come up in my calendar. Or I can see my calendar here. Um, you'd still need to like create the event for someone else, but it's just what I love about it. I guess you use Notion for your to-do list. A lot of people use Notion.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, the Todoist is just,
Yeah, it
I
look.
don't know, I just love it. It's just really clean, and it's really, what I love about it is that it's really easy to add things. So anytime I think of anything, I've got an idea, if I've got a question, if I've got something I just need to check, I can really, really quickly add it in, and then I can come back and make it a proper thing later. I can also like every month we write a letter and take a photo of my little boy as he's growing up. So I have like a reminder to do that. And when I click this is done, the task won't go away. It will create a new task for the next month. So I can create recurring tasks, which is really handy. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's my kind of number one that I use every single day for sure.
Yeah.
Um, and then what else am I using every day? Let me think. There will definitely be things. I also use a tool called Upnote, which again is like, maybe it's a like, I've just never really gotten into Notion, probably because I have all of these different systems already. But I used to use Evernote. You ever heard of Evernote? It's like a
Yeah, I know
kind of long-standing fancy note taker. Yeah,
Yeah.
but it became super, super expensive. So I recently transferred to Upnote, which is like 99p a month. And it's amazing. Captures all of my notes. So I have everything on there. They're probably the two things I'm using every day, as well as Dashlane. I use Dashlane for all of my passwords, which is kind of a bit of a game changer. I made that transition probably about 5 years ago, but I got really strict about it about 2 years ago. I had a like IT security guy come in and talk at work and be really clear about how like having unique passwords for everything and using a password manager to keep those passwords and generate them for you is critical. And so now I rely on that for everything. I don't know any of my passwords anymore, but my Dashlane knows them. It's got like yeah, I really like it. I've used LastPass, which is a Google one, and I've used there's like Bitward and some other things, but I just think Dashlane's UI is the cleanest and easiest. But so it has like a little like Google extension you can use. It's also like an app on your laptop. Um, it just keeps all of your passwords, and you basically just need to know one password, which was the password to log into your Dashlane, and then all of your other passwords are logged in there as like kind of hyper randomized generated numbers that Dashlane remembers for you and inputs into all of your logins. It's great.
Gotcha. Your coaching name, why is it stored? You made a story about changing your name to like
Oh, Stuart. Yeah. Yeah. Um, yeah, it's pronounced Stuart, which is maybe confusing, uh, but because it doesn't have any vowels in it. Um, basically, I, s- I spent ages trying to think of a business name, and I was thinking of all of like kind of operations, business related names. I had like, what were my ideas? Like Bright Ops. What else did I like? Just kind of generic, like
yeah.
random words. And I was like, this is just like shit. Like it just feels a bit naff to have
Yeah.
a generic kind of word and the word ops. And there's so many companies, like operations is pretty common. So there's so many companies out there already called those names. So ever being able to like differentiate myself from those would be really hard. Um, so then I was trying to think of a personal name, and I so this is actually a long story. My son,
Yeah.
I always thought that I would maybe use my mom's dad's name as his middle name. Um, but, and that was always the plan. My son was going to be called whatever his first name was, and then Stuart would be his middle name, um, to kind of nod to my grandpa. But my husband and I could not agree on a first name. And when we eventually found a first name that we really liked, which is Rory, um, Rory Stewart is a very famous politician in the UK. So, like, if we were to call him Rory Stewart, we'd be like naming him after this politician, which we had no association with. But even worse than that, we had a friend who's also called Rory Stewart. And so who was a friend, but not someone who's super close to us. So if we were we'd be like calling our son after someone who we were friends with, but not like super, super close with his entire name, like not just his first name, his entire name. And so we realized that we couldn't use Stuart as a middle name. So my son ended up being called Rory Andrew. Um, so then I was thinking of names for my business for ages, and I was like, you know what? I haven't like I didn't use Stuart, and I really would still like to honor my grandpa because he was um a kind of businessman of several trades, and he would tinker and try and do lots of different things, and he had various like levels of success at different points in his career, but he also had some like dark moments where things didn't work. So I thought, do you know what? I'm gonna use his name and hopefully create a business in his honor of like the spirit and kind of ingenuity and like quirkiness and problem solving that he brought to everything that he did in life, but hopefully like bring the success that
Gotcha.
I mean, he did have success, but I think he maybe never felt that he had like the success that he deserved. So I could maybe fulfill that legacy under his name. But I took the vowels out just to make it a bit cooler. And there also, I think there was um businesses called like Stuart as a whole name. And so like I think there's like one business in Australia that sells clothes that uses Stuart without vowels in the same way that I do, but it's not really a name. So I was like, okay, I can differentiate myself. I can get that handle on Instagram. I can get that domain name. Um, so yeah.
Okay. So you are a parent. You got two kids. How's your day day to day look like?
So right now I have 3 days a week, which I'm officially working and kind of working all the time right now, but obviously because I'm starting my business, but um, I work 3 days officially this week, so each week. And so my day looks like I wake up and um I try and meditate. I try and have a cup of tea before my kids wake up, and I try and like get my first social posts out of the way. So I'll get my social.
What time you wake up?
Pardon?
What time do you wake up?
So I try and wake up between 6:15 and 6:30 every morning.
Okay, that's early.
Um, meditate. Yeah, yeah. Um, And I'm not like I'm not an early bird, but I'm also I don't like waking up super early, but I just realized it's what I've got to do. If I want to try, my day always starts much better if I get up before my children. If my children wake me up, then it's like you're in like chaos mode from the minute you open your eyes, which is a really chaotic place to be. So if I can wake up, meditate, have a cup of tea, do my LinkedIn and my Instagram post and do a bit of like commenting and community engagement before they wake up. I try and do that before 7:15 and then they get woken at 7:15 if they haven't already woken. Then I'm on to a good day. From 8:15 to like that's right, 7:15 till about 8:15, I am getting them ready for nursery. They're both in nursery right now.
Yeah.
And getting them taken to nursery. And then try and do a bit of exercise once I drop them off, or like a bit of a house. So I either like come home and like tidy up the house and catch up on the chaos that's an hour of your children in running around your house can create a lot more mess than you would think. So just cut tidying up after that. And but if I can, I'll try and do some exercise. So I'll go for a run or go to the gym and do a strength session. Um, and then next chunk of the day is all work. I'll do like focused hours, work hours for like the first 4 to 5 hours. And then I'll try and spend the last hour or two doing work on my business. So it's either reaching out to new clients or building new social campaigns or kind of doing something on my website, whatever it is that I'm kind of prioritizing that week as my focus.
Yeah.
Um, and then about somewhere between 4:30 and 5, I'm picking up my kids, and then they have, well, not my little boy because he's still quite young, but my daughter has after nursery activities. So like she goes to rainbows, she goes to swimming lesson. So I'm then picking her up, and we're all kind of running around for those after school activities, before getting home, dinner, get them to bed. Hopefully they get to bed by about 7:30 and then I'm back on my laptop working. Then my husband and I kind of sit together and he's also starting his own business right now. So we'll sit together and just kind of do our work alongside each other for a bit. And then if we can, we'll maybe squeeze in like watching an episode of something before bed and then it's bed.
What business he is in?
My husband is a landscaper, so he does garden landscapes. He builds patios and fences and kind of puts turf down to help people transform their garden from just a plot of green land to something beautiful.
I saw you have
Podcast this quarter. That was one of my goals.
yeah, I saw you have a new show, right? A new
That's right. So if you follow me on Instagram, I am at Stuart ____, which may change, but we'll stick with that for now. You can find me Lydia Hawkridge Stuart. And yeah, every Monday at 8:15, I'm now doing Instagram Live where I basically will talk. I spend like a couple minutes talking about something that I think you should focus on this week to improve your business and make it move forward. But then it's really all about problem solving. So that's my favorite thing to do. I just love problem solving. I just love helping people. I love figuring out their tech problems, figuring out their issues and moving them forward. And so, yeah, every Monday at 8:15, they can join me. They can send their problems to me beforehand or ask me them in the chat on the day and I will give my best possible solution. So like that's where I like created that a customer journey template so that because when someone asked me about funnels and how to kind of build their funnels, and that's like my recommendation is to always start with the customer journey. someone else asks me about spending time on socials or like how do you like focus your day. So any questions like that, send me them, and I'll answer them on Mondays, 8:15 UK time.